Hello and welcome to the Chiro podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Glass, and today we're making a professional chiropractic student connection out in Dallas, Texas with Dontae at Parker. Can you just introduce yourself, Dontae, and kind of just reflect on what was going on in your life? What was it that really attracted you to go to chiropractic school and set yourself on a path to become a chiropractor?
Yes, sir, will do. Well, my name is Dontae Landley, born in Jamaica. Grew up in South Florida, Miami to be exact. And honestly, it's not a wild story what brought me to chiropractic as some people may have. Originally, I was in school to become a doctor, MD, and that quickly changed over to physical therapy because I liked, exercising. I liked working out. I went through a whole body transformation that really spurred and sparked my interest in rehabilitation. But then I met a chiropractor in Orlando because I went to UCF for my undergrad. So I met a chiropractor in Orlando, and he kind of, I guess you could say, exposed me to what chiropractic truly is. I I'm 26 years old. I didn't know anything from anything about chiropractic. I generally was one of those people who just thought, oh yeah, some pops, some cracks, you know, you feel instant relief. Good, I could do that. It wasn't until I met with the chiropractor and he really dove deep with me into what chiropractic is, and kind of it just picked me. It aligned with a lot of the things that I grew up with, that my mom instilled in me, that my father instilled in me. Um, yeah, it's more than just a profession. It can honestly be seen as a lifestyle, and it kind of fit in and meshed with me at that moment in time, and it still fits in and meshes with me third trimester in. So it's a pretty crazy journey.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting to hear that you were born in Jamaica, raised in South Florida, but that some of the principles of being natural were instilled in you growing up with your mom and dad. Can you maybe just talk about that culture that you were raised in and maybe how the majority of people don't think like that and how you were maybe raised in a house that did think like that and just how that resulted in how you move through life, as a teenager or in college or even thinking about the professional career path that would be most aligned with who you truly are.
Yeah. So if you don't know, Jamaicans are pretty holistic, naturalistic. I honestly can't remember ever really taking medication. How some people have headaches, they take Tylenol or Aleve or what's another one, like BC powder or something along those lines.
Claritin, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I never did any of that. It was all herbs, it was all teas, it was old school remedies, congestion, put some Vicks vapor rub on you, but you gotta, put your hand over the flame, make sure it gets all nice and hot, rub it in so it really seeps down. It's um it's one of those things where growing up I kind of, I guess you would say, laughed at it, like, oh, why am I doing this? Nobody else does this. But growing up and becoming older and really looking back at those times, it really shaped me into who I am right now, because just the way that they went about things in terms of a cough came on, immediately a tea was ready. Um, wasn't feeling too well, maybe ate something that wasn't agreeing with me, they had something for that. So just the naturalistic, holistic way of looking at things, a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people are, I don't want to say hooked on, but a lot of people are reliant on medication from they're born, honestly. And I just feel like there's so many different ways of healing. The body can heal itself. A lot of people might not know that. I don't want to get into the big pharma talk, but um, yeah, that really played a factor. And then when I sat down with that chiropractor back in Orlando, and he was telling me that it's, non-invasive, holistic way of health, no surgeries, it just was one of the things where he was saying it, and I was just thinking back to when I was a child, all the things my parents used to do, and I was like, this clicks, this aligns, this is, like I said earlier, it kind of called out to me. I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be headed, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting when we look at people in a culture, let's just call it an urban culture, hip hop culture, it's not really talked about, but it's acknowledged that people are into the natural remedies. Like Dr. Sebi is a great example of how many people got inspired by him and said, wow, that's just how my grandma used to do it or talk about it. So that's really a style of life for so many people in the community and in the culture. And yet chiropractic is never really connected, from like, maybe it's the brand equity that chiropractor has, maybe it's negative connotation around it, but people don't really go to the chiropractor from these communities, yet it aligns so well with their upbringing, with their cultural values. Can you maybe just speak to that college student? Maybe they're in a black fraternity or sorority. Maybe they're in high school and they haven't gone to college yet. Maybe they're not in a fraternity or a sorority. I kind of threw a curveball there, but it is fascinating to me how fraternities and sororities really do have like a stronghold on the campus cultures in every campus around the country. It doesn't matter where you're at. These organized student groups are really the ones that are moving the movement or supplying the culture, and yet chiropractic has no awareness, no presence, no acknowledgement whatsoever within these groups of people. So that's kind of like a mission of what I'm on, is how do we create a message and a context that helps them see that, wow, chiropractic is that best kept secret that could really take things to the next level for people that are looking for that.
Yeah, that was a very loaded question, and it kind of aligns with what, after coming to Parker, what I realized I have to do is really reach back out to my community and let them know that there is a way, or let me say, a natural way, non-invasive way for health. Funny you mentioned fraternity. I am in a fraternity, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and I can see already just by me being in school, the people who are in my chapter have changed in the sense of never hearing about a chiropractor, or maybe a little bit interested in chiropractic, but never really taking that leap of faith to go to a chiropractor and see what they can offer them. To now, I have people in my chapter calling me, "Oh, I just went to the chiropractor. They did XYZ. Were they supposed to do that? Or, should I go?" And I'm like, just let it take place. Just let it happen. The person that you went to is the right person for you in that time, in that space, and they will allow you to really see what they can offer you. Um, but to answer your question, though, I think it's all about exposure, being more present in those communities. And I say that because I'm really thinking back right now, and I might have passed the signs. They have like the big chiropractor signs and like plazas here and there. I might have passed those so many different times growing up, but I never once stepped inside because I was like, I don't really know if this is for me. And I think a lot of people don't know, me, myself included, my younger self. I didn't know what chiropractic was all about. And then no one really took the time out until I got into undergrad to explain it to me. I think if you were to go and kind of research it on your own, you might not find what it is you're looking for. You might just get this very, very surface level of what chiropractic is and what it can do for you. But you really just got to find that one person, or maybe even like those couple of people who can really spread that message, who can really break it down to people who might not understand it, break it down to people who might not, have ever had something broken down to them before. I am going to be that person. I will invoke the change, and I promise everyone in my community will be under chiropractic care. It doesn't have to be me specifically. I would like it to, but everybody in my community will be under chiropractic care because it's so vital, so vital.
Yeah, that's fire. Yeah, one of the students that I'm in connection to told me that chiropractic is not like physical therapy, because in physical therapy, you have to try so hard to get in. But once you're in, you're in. And it's really clear you're just going to become a physical therapist. In chiropractic, it's pretty easy to get in. But once you're in, you kind of have to find yourself within the profession. And you're not necessarily going to just call yourself a chiropractor because you know so many other people that don't necessarily do what you want to represent yourself at. You got to represent yourself much more so in an authentic and aligned way. So I'm curious for you now in chiropractic school, like what have you found within yourself is kind of like, I guess I'm asking you to describe the experience and what it's been like for you to ask yourself these questions of like, where do I fit within the chiropractic profession? How do I want to develop myself into a chiropractor? Because as you know, there's so many options, so many distractions, so many opportunities. What has it been like for you so far?
It's been a whirlwind. And I know that it's going to continue to change, or let me not say change, it's going to continue to evolve. Coming in, try one, I was like, whoa, what is this? Try two, I was like, okay, I'm starting to really get an understanding now. In this current trimester, I'm like, I can see the path. I understand more now where it is that I'm headed. One great thing about chiropractic is it is for everybody. Everybody can practice it. That's a career path you want to go down, and it can be so different. I mean, the way that I'm going to practice in the future versus one of my best friends. He goes to Palmer. The way that he's going to practice is different. The people that I've met here in Parker, the way that they're going to practice is going to be different. But at the end of the day, it's an identity, or the way that they practice is a identity of them, and they're going to attract the patients and the clients that they want to attract, if that makes sense. So you asked about me and my journey. It was a lot of self-healing, self-realization. um, I have to be able to, or I have to understand that I need to be able to be filled and completed in me before I'm able to help and complete and fill others. um, Once you realize that, and you understand that the journey is endless and you're never going to be complete, I guess you could say. There's always room for growth. There's always going to be something that you might not have uncovered. But the deeper you go and the more you genuinely understand, the I would say the more you're able to help. The larger your well is, the more people you'll be able to feed. So that's, I think I answered your question, but I'm not sure.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, no, we're just here having a conversation, trying to represent for people out there that really don't have any examples to look at. Like, I'm curious, in between that moment with that chiropractor in Orlando where you were like, okay, I think this is going to be the direction I'm going, and you getting to Parker in Dallas, like, what took place in between that time, and like, how did you prepare yourself, I guess, for chiropractic school as you shifted to this recognition that, hey, I'm actually like a pre-chiro student right now. I'm a pre-chiropractic student. Even if it was a short time, I'm just curious, like, what you did, what maybe sticks out to you as being like a positive influence for you, or something that you may recommend to others.
So let's start with the timeline. I started in August of 2022. I filled out my application for Parker late February, early March. Got accepted around the end of March. Yeah, because it was, yeah, I'll say the end of March. So I had from about April till end of July. That was my time frame to get ready. I was still working, full-time job, 40 hours. So along with that, I was, looking for apartments in the area, trying to see what was the closest versus, you know, cost, because I didn't want to pay, you know, a lot of money to live, but I also didn't want to, be in an area that was like an hour away. I didn't realize also how big Texas was. So something that's like 15 miles away in Orlando, that's like a 20-minute drive, but in Dallas, that's like 35, 40 minutes. So I looked at apartments, I looked at areas around. I love to go to the gym, so I looked at gyms in the area. I looked at just different things that Dallas had to offer that I was like, okay, if I wanted to take a break, like even if it's a day or like a couple of hours away from school, what is in the area that will allow me to decompress? So those are probably the biggest things that I did for myself was apartment, uh, looking how far away it was from school because I didn't want to drive like 45 minutes to an hour. And then things to do when it's not school related, things to decompress because that is very important. You need to, yes, school is important. You're here for the degree. You're here to, be able to serve the community once you graduate. But in the 3.5 years that you're here, you're going to want to take time for yourself. And some people might not, want to fly or drive too far to do that for like a vacation purpose. But Dallas has a lot of things that if you want to go to the park, if you have like a dog. If you want to go to the dog park, if you want to, go to a museum, there's a lot of different things that Dallas has to offer that fit in to what I was looking for. Now, in terms of like the pre-Cairo school related, I didn't know what to expect. Um, a friend of mine told me that it's a lot of studying because he was in quarter four at the time. So he told me it was a lot of studying. He said it was like not late nights, but he'd be up till like 11 and then have class at 8 in the morning, and he's in class from 8 to 4:30 or like 8 to 3:30 depending on the day. And in my head, I was like, okay, well, I'm already working 40 hours a week. It's basically just like a job. I just have to, wire my mind to, instead of doing, you know, mundane tasks, I guess you should say, for work, I'm doing things that will set me up in my career. So what I did was I kind of mimicked my work schedule that I had while I was still working in Orlando to kind of what he told me it was going to be like in Cairo school. So I set an alarm. I woke up at 5. I worked out, and then from 8 to 4:30, if I was doing stuff for work, cool. I was doing stuff for work. But if it was like a slow day and I wasn't doing anything, I was just trying to read. I was trying to kind of get my brain back into the mindset of scholastic. I graduated in 2019 and I didn't start Cairo school until 2022, so that was about 3 years worth of a break. So just getting my mind back into the whole, okay, you have to be studious. You have to, if you say you're going to read these pages for study purposes, read these pages. So I just kind of made my work schedule kind of line up to what Cairo school might have been like, just going based off a previous, suggestion from a friend. I will say though, when I got here, it was completely different. Um, I would say it helped waking up at the 5 a.m., getting the workout out of the way so the rest of the day I could just focus on school. But I didn't realize how much good stress and bad stress comes from Cairo school. In undergrad, I took like 12 to 15 credit hours coming here, and they told me, oh, yeah, you're taking 27 credit hours. I was like, what? That's excessive. But that's what I thought at first. However, being able to do it, getting through it, it's not that bad. Yeah.
So, just to pivot back to the Black fraternity experience, I just had a student intern fly out. He's actually my godson, and he's about to cross next semester. He's planning to cross with the Kappa Alpha Psi
Hmm.
in University of Oklahoma, and he started telling me about the Divine Nine and how there's this culture. And then I come to find out I have people that I take care of in my practice who are alumni from that same exact Kappa organization. So I'm just curious, like, from your vantage point, chiropractic, pre-chiropractic studies,
Hmm.
how attractive you think this concept would be of becoming an entrepreneur, of becoming a natural healing scientist, somebody who's a neuroscientist, somebody who is a creative thinker, who's maybe an ambitious person that wants to be an artist in whatever it is that they do and work with their hands, and maybe learn how to teach and speak at a professional level. These different descriptions are how I'm contextualizing becoming a chiropractor. Really, like, that's how it starts. So I'm
Hmm.
just curious from your vantage point how attractive this could be, and what are some maybe creative ways that we could relate it to that culture, or shall we say subculture, in a way that makes it relevant, or that makes it fit in to that pattern of behaviors or structures that have been created to help college students find meaning and purpose and community and brotherhood or sisterhood while preparing for that next step of life after college.
Ooh, that was a good one. I would say it's very appealing. The more and more I found out about chiropractic, and yes, you can be an associate. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, you can, as you said, be an entrepreneur, open your own business, your own practice. I know so many people within my organization who are just looking for that next idea, that next spark to be an entrepreneur. I think we're living in a day and age where a lot of people are realizing that working for somebody else might not really fit them. So having that, I guess, opportunity with chiropractic to own your own business, for you to be the boss. I think that's very appealing. Now, how to really tie that back in with how to make it appealing to some people, because I understand, being an undergrad, especially early undergrad, like, freshman, sophomore, you're not really thinking about the future. I'll be honest, I probably didn't start thinking about my future till junior year, maybe even closer towards senior year. Um, I had this friend, and he would always say, because he was older than me by about 3 years, he was like, "You're still young. Like, you don't have to have everything figured out." I think we have a lot of pressure on us, either from society, parents, peers, whatever the case may be, to have everything figured out. You see all these 22-year-old millionaires, 25-year-old billionaires, whatever the case may be. And so we all just are wired to think, oh, I need to have it figured out by 25, or oh, I need to be, if somebody's ideal definition of success is like marriage and 3 kids or something along those lines, I need to have all that by 25. I think you have to really slow down that culture, really slow it down and really explain to people that you want to be an entrepreneur. And then if you bring somebody who is a scientist, like you said, or somebody who's an artist, you can literally combine everything that you're interested in and open up a practice in chiropractic. Obviously, go to Chiro, go to school first and get everything that you need to. But one thing I'd say to kind of open up that barrier, or not necessarily a barrier, but open up that pathway, is potentially more internships, shadowing opportunities, maybe not necessarily incentivize it, but just go to, for example, go to my campus as a chiropractor and just go speak to them. There's really not going to tell you no if maybe like after a chapter meeting or after an event, or maybe collab on an event that deals with chiropractic in general. I would also say that the representation needs to grow a little bit more, because I can only think of about, at least when I was an undergrad, I can only think of about 2 chiropractors that look like me. So I would think that's a big deal with it too, the representation, and also just the availability to have those channels and that avenue to, if someone like me in undergrad had questions about chiropractic, being able to have that free line of, okay, so what does this mean? Or, okay, how'd you go about doing this? Or, okay, what were your, top 5 struggles your first 3 years in practice? What kind of things can I pull from you to see if this is really for me, or if I'm on the right path? You know what I'm saying? Um, it's tough. I would definitely say representation and that free channel, or that open channel, would probably be the best ways to go about it.
Yeah, no, I think it's fascinating. You talk about representation, and somebody who you just studied with, Dr. Paulo Fili in Samurai Seminars, is bringing that to the profession in a way that it's never really existed before. He's created a vibe in a seminar format that you just can't really point a finger at any seminars that have ever really been offered historically and say they're doing what he's doing, or they did what he's doing. So even though he is standing on the shoulders of some amazing chiropractors that trained him and inspired him and came, either up with him or came before him, he's really creating a lane where we have a black chiropractor that is operating at a world-class level, and being able to connect with people such as yourself, who come from that culture of being in a black fraternity and wanting to see that representation, or at least having a filter where when you look out at the offerings, you're wanting to see where's the representation at, where are the people that talk like me, or have shared experiences or shared cultural values as me at. And so I'm just curious if you could just reflect on that seminar, that experience, what that was like to see somebody like him after having been in chiropractic for a little while now and not really recognizing that there's not really a lot like that, if any.
Right. Just to circle back to your question about pre-Chiro. So I was actually on Instagram looking up chiropractors, and that's the first time I ever saw Dr. O'Philly, was through Instagram, the black and white videos of him at the seminar. And in that moment, I think, I kid you not, I probably watched maybe 10, to 20 videos, but I watched them like multiple times. So I'll click one and I'll just have it on repeat 3, 4, 5 times, then go to the next one. Same thing over and over. Um, it was really awe-inspiring. Like, yes, the chiropractor in Orlando is who really like taught me, I guess you could say, what chiropractic is. But then seeing Dr. O'Philly, I was like, oh, that he's the guy. He's the guy. I told myself from that pre-Cairo summer, I was like, I have to meet him, no matter what it is. If I have to, because I know he's based out in Florida, so I was like, if I have to go back and take a drive and just shadow his office for a day, whatever the case may be, go to a seminar, I gotta do it. So I was lucky enough to meet him in January of 2023. That was the first time. And then again, he was recently here in June, early June. That was the second time I met him, and each time he has given me gems of wisdom. Um, he's really lit that fire under me every time, because I'm like, that's someone who looks like me, killing it, absolutely killing it in the profession. There is no reason. I have a mindset of like, if he can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. If you can do it, I can do it. That's been my mindset from I was very, very young. So seeing him, I'm like, okay, if he can do it, I can do it. It was very inspiring, I guess you could say, being at the seminar and just seeing the way that he interacts and how the people in the room just kind of gravitate towards him. Everything that he says, you can see people are really tuned in, really listening to him and taking in the information that he's saying. Now, the next step, I would say, not necessarily for him, but for people like me, coming up, still in school, gonna graduate in the next 2 years, other people who are, maybe in Tri-7 about to graduate, or who are in the pre-Cairo stage, what are you going to do to have that same gravitational pull, but bring it to the community? I think, to answer your question from the last, what's the word? From the last one, is that gravitational pull, that real emphasis, that real charisma. Once you have that, I think everything else will be easier. Nobody really wants to listen to somebody who isn't confident in what they're saying, or confident or believe in what they're saying. Dr. O'Philly believes in what he's saying and is confident in it, and it shows. So to answer your question, confidence and that gravitational pull will really open up that channel and open up that lane to more and more people who are like, I've never heard of chiropractic before in my life. What is that? Being more willing and open to potentially becoming chiropractors in the future.
Yeah, no, it's exciting because I really have a passion for trying to bring this profession to a culture that's never really been targeted and focused on by the chiropractic profession, and like really wanted, like, I want the chiropractic profession to become so like sort of omnipresent, or just have so much awareness within the culture and the community, that chiropractic is like going to the barbershop. You go to the barbershop to get a lineup, you go to the chiropractor to get a lined up, and it's just this life enhancement service that people from our community have been trained in. People from our community are offering it right down the street, and you can just stop looking at chiropractic as being different from us, or as being something that certain people do that, my people don't really do that. That's something that somebody else does. It doesn't need to be thought of like that. It can be thought of differently. And so having examples of chiropractors that look and sound like people from the culture, like Dr. O'Philly or yourself, that's kind of the bridge that I believe will help that healing take place within the communities. And let's face it, those are the sickest and poorest communities that have the least access to quality fruits and vegetables, clean water, healthy lifestyle practices, positive mindsets. There's a lot of trauma there on the micro level and how people talk to each other, and on the macro level on how society treats those communities by not placing the incredibly essential resources of water and food and healthy access. You know, like you talked about, you're looking at the gyms when you're moving to Dallas. You want to know where the gym's at, because that's usually in the nicer neighborhoods or the areas where they can attract members that can afford. Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say. So for me, people in the black sororities and black fraternities are the ones that are aspiring beyond just the classroom to make a difference in their community. A lot of community service, a lot of servant oriented activities being offered, and it's in direct alignment with us chiropractors who are service oriented people. We're like trying to help people as much as possible. So that's kind of where I'm at with things. I'm curious, like, do you have any creative strategies where we could communicate in a sort of a relevant way? We can communicate something that's uncommon or unheard of, or never really been thought about regarding chiropractic in a familiar way to the culture. Have you thought about this?
Um, so I haven't thought about it in that sense, but I definitely have thought about different ways that I can get community engagement. Definitely different ways that I can get people who might not, like you said, who might not have the resources, who might not have the availability, whatever it may be, that they might not come to see a chiropractor. One of the few things, and I think maybe the easiest thing, um, depending on the community. So I know my community in South Florida, Miami, they had this thing called the swap shop. I don't know if they have it everywhere, if that was just a Florida thing, but basically it's like a big open area and they just have people set up shop. It's like if you're trying to sell t-shirts, necklaces, they have like licensed vendors there. So if you want to get like your car windows tinted, they have, it's just a very large area. You don't necessarily have to give, provide adjustments when you're at this swap shop meet area, but you can definitely engage people in terms of just a conversation. Really have their mind open, have their eyes open, and really just let them understand that there is an alternative way. There is another way to help with some of the ailments and some of the things that you might be feeling, that you might have been feeling for the past 20 years, 5 years, 2 months, 2 days, who knows how long it has been. But just to be able to speak to them, I think that's one of the biggest things, is being, like you said earlier, that bridge, being that bridge between the communities. There is a large disconnect. Um, we don't have to get into all of that, but there is a large disconnect. And so a lot of people in those communities want something very simple, is to just be seen. They just want somebody to acknowledge that they are there, because a lot of people don't. So I think that at the root, at the simplest level, is just being able to let them know that they are seen and that they are heard. And what better place to do that than a place that they already go to once a week, maybe once a month, whatever the case may be. So just something similar like that. I know they have, what do they call it? Farmers markets. It's kind of the same thing. Um, yeah, I just think you really have to, at the basic level, just let them know that they are seen and that they are heard. And not saying that you have to, get them on the table right that second, but just that one conversation might spark something in them, and like, who knows, 3 weeks later they might see you again and they might, have some follow-up questions about, oh, so you were telling me about, yeah, I've been having this, or yeah, this is, what do you think? And you can really sit there and just talk to them for about, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And who knows, you might have that gravitational pull that I was talking about that Dr. O'Philly has, where you might be talking to one person, but there's about 50 people, gathered in like a semicircle just listening to you speak. And, maybe not all 50 will go see a chiropractor, but maybe 40 do. That's 40 more people that are now going in the path of healing than, who might not have if you weren't out there speaking to them to begin with. So I think at the base level, it's really just the communication and just being in the areas that they are in, because it's going to be hard for them, especially if they don't have the resources, to go to some of the, affluent areas that they probably have never been to. I would genuinely say to just seek them. And I promise you, when they understand you, and if you break it down to them and generally just have an understanding amongst both parties, the chiropractor and the community, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong.
Do you think you would have been open when you were back in college and you were in the fraternity? Do you think you would have been open to doing community service on behalf of chiropractic, maybe with a local office, or maybe let's just say with Dr. O'Philly in the community, if you saw videos of him online and then he lived in your local area and then you were able to connect with him through the pre-Chiro club and go out into the community and serve the community. I'm just curious, like when you were in the fraternity, what types of events you guys did, what types of activities, community service activities, or campus service activities for other students you guys did. And now that you're in chiropractic school, if you could kind of see how what you know now could have been applied to what you were doing then.
Yeah, so when I was an undergrad, we did a lot of community service. It was more, I will say, it was more geared towards children, like high school. Um, I would say as low as about fifth, fourth grade. That's really where a lot of our service came because a lot of the kids that we would, hang out with, big brother, big sister, that organization, the Boys and Girls Club we were heavily linked with. Um, Getting tours on campus because a lot of people, a lot of high school kids probably have never seen a college campus, especially one as large as the one I went to, UCF. It's massive. So just like I said, just geared towards that. Now, what I know now, would I have done community service with what I know now? Yes. With what I knew back then, probably would have been 50-50. And that's just me being honest because I guess you could say in undergrad, I was just so geared towards helping the youth. But now that I know that chiropractic can help the youth, yeah, I don't see why not. But just thinking back to an undergrad version of myself, it might have been one of those situations where, I'm a man of my word. So like if we agree on it, yes, I'll show up. So that's where the like 50-50 comes in. If we agreed on it, yes, I'll be there. But if we didn't agree on it, I might have just gone to the Boys and Girls Club instead because, local, 10 minutes down the street. Um, but I think to bridge that gap, it might just have to be a conversation between whoever the chiropractor is. We were using Dr. O'Philly as an example. So if Dr. O'Philly reaches out to the organization or vice versa, I think it really just stems down to a conversation, probably 15, 20 minutes. If somebody in the organization knows about chiropractic, I think that conversation would be a lot smoother. But for a majority of people who probably don't know about it, I think maybe like a 30, 40-minute conversation to really have them understand what it is that he's doing, what he's providing to the community, and how they could be of service to not only him, but to the community as well. I think once you have that conversation, there'll be a lot more willingness to go help not only Dr. O'Philly, but other chiros in the area that will then allow the profession to grow and reach the communities that might not have the chiropractic understanding. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
nah, that last part right there of like this mindset of like, I'm gonna figure out how to adapt naturally to the challenges in my community, or I'm gonna help others figure out how they can adapt to the
Mhm.
challenges in their community and recognize that they have solutions within inside of them. They don't have to keep looking outside of themselves. Like that empowering piece and that education piece is not even about delivering an adjustment and like talking about all and like getting somebody on the table. Like you said, it's about just meeting people where they're at and like supporting them. And I think that piece could really resonate with everybody within the chapter or the organization because this is giving them an opportunity to communicate professionally with people that are either younger than them or more disadvantaged than them, or that they want to practice really like giving to and expressing their empathy and caring for others. Like, I just think that the more we could start to act creative, like pre-chiropractic could be a K through 12 educational program that eventually reaches the college level, and that's where you get into like really training your body, to deliver a specific scientific adjustment one day, someday, once you get to chiropractic school. But like just starting to get in shape, getting in tune with yourself and understand neurology, understand communication, and maybe even sales presentation, and maybe even small business management. All of these specific skill sets can become very attractive if in an organized, structured way they're given to college students that are not really clear on what they want to do after school. So maybe they just want to go become pre-chiro students and learn about chiropractic, but also develop themselves in the process. Maybe they don't go to chiropractic school after, but you see kind of what I'm saying is like, we need to get more creative and think non-linearly about how we're going to really reach the people we want to reach, which is really like as many people as possible. I learned recently a strategy that you can identify where people are going online, grab those URLs of the websites they're visiting, and then put into your YouTube ad that if they go to that website, they're going to see your YouTube ad coming up next on whatever YouTube video they're watching. And I think that's a great way to think through, like, what are the websites that we want to, like, what viewers do we want to attract and what websites are they going to? So if you take your fraternity, for example, if they're going to the fraternity website or to a specific page, like we can put into the YouTube ad algorithm that every time they go to that page, they're going to see now something about pre-chiro studies. And obviously we would be targeting schools where there was actually pre-chiro clubs or pre-chiro programs being disseminated. You feel me?
Yeah, no, I feel you. I think that would be great. And I think, honestly, not one of the, I don't want to say easiest, but one of probably the fast track it would be the kids who are like in fifth, everybody knows how to use a laptop or iPhone or whatever tablet. Kids who are in like fifth, sixth, seventh grade, I think those are the ones to really kind of build it on, because you get the longevity of, okay, they're in sixth grade, they have 6 years, so they're even in college. Then on top of that, if they are in like an accelerated program or just a regular 4 years, you have 10 years of their lives being exposed to what chiropractic is. And like you said, tuning into your body, going through what you have to, like working through what you have to work through in order to be the best version of yourself, to, in order to serve everybody that you are going to serve in the future. That's 10 years, a lot of things. There's a quote that I literally just read it the other day. It was like, people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Something along those lines. And just with that alone, you can really, I think, set the profession up and set the communities that you are trying to reach and those people up for generations to come. Honestly, that's a great, I like that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and it's exposures, experiences, and expressions. So like you talk about those 10 years from sixth grade all the way through to chiropractic school, and you think about that and you're like, okay, like how many volunteer hours and observation hours and like even student projects, whether it's like a tri-board at a science fair or whether it's a public presentation in a classroom that students are doing about chiropractic related topics. That's how you really start to create a fabric that extends out through society, where you got students in classrooms hearing about chiropractic from one of their peers in a way that's very concise and inspired, and maybe not even polished, but it's organic, it's raw, and I just feel like the more we can like build that in or bake that into society, you feel me, with like elementary school campaigns, with middle school campaigns, high school campaigns, and then college campaigns. Like I was just talking about the fraternities because I see them as the ones doing the most campaigns in general on college campuses. And so it didn't just have to be a black fraternity sorority. It could be an Asian or Jewish or Latin or educational or sport. It could be a sports team. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so many ways to get in and create inroads within student campus cultures. But like you said, UCSF is huge. It's massive. So like what would happen if we had 500 pre-chiro students at UCF's campus and there's 50,000 students? That's only 1% that's making an impact on 99% of the students. Like, this is kind of the concepts that I'm thinking. That's the big idea of chiropractic, right? But like,
Yeah.
we need to think outside the box. We need to get more creative and strategize by having conversations where it's like, I've been 10 years out now, you're three semesters in. Like, this is a valid conversation that need, this is a valuable thing for the profession to have older docs valuing the next generation, because everybody wants to talk about where we came from and they want to talk about what's hot right now, but like, you are the future of chiropractic, so it's like we need to lift you up, give you the platform, and be like, okay, like, here's some structure, like, we need you to like actually make this hot now, like, make it pop,
Right.
make it cool, you feel me?
Yeah. I would say another, how can I say this? I would say probably allowing or getting people who might be on the pre-Chiro track, when they're in like 10th grade, ninth grade, even if they're younger, getting them adjusted. I think that also is a very key component into building, like we were talking about, the 10-year kind of thing. Um, I know people right now in my trimester who have never gotten adjusted before. And I'm like, that's interesting. I don't want to, that's just interesting to say the least. But I think if they were exposed to what a chiropractic adjustment is and can be earlier, I think that will also play another huge factor into it. I understand that, some people like the adjustment because it's like, oh, instantaneous relief. But I think if they were to stick with it over a period of time and genuinely see the changes over, I don't want to put a time limit on it, but just over time, and they can see the changes, feel the changes, I think that would really, what's the word, strengthen their conviction. Like how you were saying earlier, it might be a little raw, unhinged, but that will strengthen it. And then one person can talk to the next person, who can talk to their mom, who talks to their aunt, who talks to the lady at the grocery store, who talks to her son. And it's literally just a trickle down effect of everybody who's now exposed to what chiropractic can and is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very deep. It's very, very deep. And it's saddening that a lot of people don't know about chiropractic care, but it's also enlightening because it's like, okay, I think the statistic was like 15% of the U.S. population sees a chiropractor. Okay, that excites me because it's like, okay, there's another 85% who doesn't, who don't know about chiropractic care, and they can be exposed to it and reap the benefits of what chiropractic can be. So yeah,
Yeah, we're talking a lot, or I'm talking a lot about what could be right now.
yeah,
I like how you're bringing it back down and like, let's get grounded in like what is, and like what you're observing around you of students that haven't been adjusted and they're in chiropractic school. Like, to me, that's like, whew, that's a big problem, a big problem. Let's call a spade a spade. If they
yeah,
haven't gotten adjusted, how are they going to be supplying adjustments to other people? Like, let's be honest, they're not there for the right reasons. They're probably there because they didn't get into graduate school for something else, and they just feel like they need to stay in graduate school. And somebody said, "Oh, chiropractic is the easiest way to become a doctor," or chiropractic is like, it's open ended. You can do whatever you want with it. You don't even have to practice chiropractic. And like, to me, we need to elevate our standards, not in an academic sense, but like pre-qualifying students who are like, want to go become chiropractors and practice chiropractic. Like, that, to me, that's like, if we're not doing that as a profession, like, what is going to happen to this profession in 15 years when you got people in your classroom saying, "Oh, I'm a chiropractor," but they're doing something crazy. Like, I don't even know what they're doing. So,
yeah.
you know, woof.
I think that boils down to something that, at least right now, is beyond us. However, in the next couple of years, when people, who are in kind of my cohort or like kind of like class area, um, might want to make a change about that. I think what you're talking about, the pre-Chiro qualifications, I think getting adjusted is probably, if not number one, definitely top two. Because I don't know how you will say, I'm going to be providing an adjustment, but you have never gotten adjusted. That's kind of contradictory. Um, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about that, but that's, it's neither here nor there for right now.
What direction you want to take this conversation in as we move to the last part of the conversation? I'm curious how you would like to segue into something that's maybe a little bit more of interest to you right now. Anything you got questions about that you want to talk to me about? Anything that you're kind of ruminating on? Anything that you're curious about? Just curious.
I actually have a lot of questions for you. So I have I'll go with the first one. So I want to practice in California. So I just wanted to ask you what were probably some of the biggest challenges you had in terms of starting.
Just like you said, it's going to be different for everybody.
Mhm.
It was different for me because I went to college in New York and I was a club promoter for my best friend who had a club at the time. So I was used to going up to people on the street and handing them flyers. That's what I was trained or conditioned to do. And then when I got out of college in Philadelphia, I was working for a chiropractor for a few months and he literally would have me go out with my massage table and hand out flyers and offer people free chair massage in the community. So I kind of was oriented towards that. That's how I felt comfortable. So I just was just going out into the community, and I knew if I kept talking to people every day, 5 new people a day, 10 new people a day, and really trying to build the connection with them, that good things would come to me. But I was very inspired coming out of chiropractic school. I was let's go.
Yeah.
We out here, we in these streets, talking to people, meeting them where they're at. Didn't matter where I was. I was talking about chiropractic at the party, at the grocery store, wherever. I'm not sure I'm answering your question today. It might be a little more strategic. You might throw a couple of dollars at some ads, like I mentioned, YouTube ads, or you might set up your website in a way where you're able to rank on the first page of Google within the first week or two of you opening your practice. People search chiropractor for fill in the blank, and you're up there.
Right.
That's kind of something I realized recently, was that I was asleep at the wheel, not realizing how important it was to rank on the first page of Google for all the different search words. So I'm in Oakland, California, the home of the Black Panthers, and basically you search Oakland chiropractor 4, this is a little strategy, and then put the letter A, and then it'll pre-populate 10 different options on Google, and then delete A, and write all those down, and
Right.
then delete A, put B, and go all the way through the alphabet, and now you got 100 different things that people are searching for when they search their location chiropractor 4, and that's what they're looking to get help with. And then you build blog posts, YouTube videos, social media posts, Google updates, Google reviews, LinkedIn posts, on and on and on, TikTok videos about these search terms. And you have those search terms as the headline, as the title of the thing that you're building. And now all of a sudden you've got crazy amount of traffic coming to you.
Yeah.
Because people are in a moment, in a vulnerable state where they just want help right then and there, usually when they're looking for a chiropractor. And if you could be right then and there, it doesn't take much selling. You're in the right place at the right time with the right offering. You feel me?
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a really good strategy. Yeah, because I've been there before. I'm searching something on Google, and then, like you said, the letter A pops up, and it's 10 different things, and I'm like, I wasn't even searching for those things. But no, that's good. That's good. Um, my next question is: so for your pre-Cairo, what would you say is the, I guess, most challenging thing right now to get it into? Because I didn't mention this before, but there was, when I was an undergrad, there's clubs like pre-PT club and pre-veterinary club and pre dentistry club. But I'm really trying to think back on it, and I don't remember there being a pre chiropractic club. So I guess my question is, what would you need, I guess, to kind of start that train or like that transition into getting it into a, I don't want to say every campus, but 95% of campuses across the US have a pre-Cairo club.
Yeah, we're talking about the mechanics of movement building, and there was a video that came out where somebody was dancing in a crowd, and it wasn't about the person dancing, but it was about that second person that joined them in dancing. So I think it's really about, there's people that are interested in chiropractic all over the country that we're not really aware of, but it's about getting people to know who those people are. And I think that it's going to be a long process. I think
Yeah.
it can move faster than we can imagine given the velocity of technology. But I just think that, like, me sharing something with you and then you saying, okay, like, one day in the near future, I'm going to be in clinic, student clinic, trying to attract people from the community that I could take care of. So what I'm going to do is start a pre-chiropractic club with a local college campus so that I can start to build a relationship with these college students, so that when I get to my student clinic in chiropractic school, they already know me, they know I've supported them, they know that I'm rocking with them, and they'll come and support me and be my, be my patients or help me get my student numbers done. So like stuff like that, I think is an innovative strategy to involve chiropractic students. I think pre-chiropractic students really do need a lot of it done for them. So like doing the flyers to give to the guidance counselors, having there be like templates on how they can start to market their club, and strategies on how that they could actually like get people to come to the club, whether it be event plan, and all the different things that go into us having been there before, done it, taking notes and taking some pages out of our book and giving it to that next generation so that they could try it in their own way. Feel me?
Yeah, that's that's pretty interesting because I was thinking about, as you were talking, I was thinking about like the connections that I still have, and just kind of like you said, the flyers and like the events. But I think it also goes back to having that, 1 to 3 people who are like really, really interested and have a strong conviction for chiropractic being, as you say, like the leaders on campus. Because I know me personally, I can't be that person right now because I'm just so many miles away. But I never thought about the local campuses making that connection and that like excuse me, that like interaction with somebody. Like you said, I could really just go up to somebody, have a conversation with them, and if it goes in a positive trajectory, then that could be the start of it right there.
Yeah, because historically, all of this has been done by the chiropractic schools and missions departments. And so for us to shift it and pivot to the chiropractic students, to a third party independent organization that's identifying all the different students that are interested in pre-chiropractic studies around the country, and can like literally be like, hey, chiropractic students, you want a side job, getting paid whatever per hour to go out and support these pre-chiropractic clubs, or mentor pre-chiropractic students, or go to the local elementary or high school or middle school and do college career fair presentations, like creating jobs for chiropractic students to do things that help strengthen the studies that they're going through in chiropractic school and making it easy for them. I think this is like that movement building piece that there's no button to push. It's just literally like, oh, you think this is dope? Oh, you haven't thought about this before? Oh, you want to go and do something on your own? Go ahead. Like, you feel me? It's like that whole Tupac quote, sparking the mind of somebody who's going to change the world. I might not change the world, but I know somebody that hears me is going to change the world. And so it's just that's why we're doing this podcast right now. It's like,
Right.
if somebody, one person resonates with the message that you shared today, then it was time well spent. I know you got 100 other things you could be doing with this hour right now, but you here rocking with me because you see how valuable this could be to somebody like, in middle school, high school, or college, or transitioning careers a couple years out of college. So I just want to thank you so much for taking the time with me today and be respectful of your time. Yeah, thank you.
No, I really appreciate it. it honestly didn't even feel like an hour. It really felt like I was just talking to one of the homies, honestly. So I appreciate you for, inviting me and, as you said, respect my time. Thank you. I respect your time as well. So thank you. I really appreciate it.